just have to think 14 moves ahead, that's all.
In this video, I'm going to share with you some secret battery saving tips and tricks for your shiny new iPhone. 14 tips and tricks to be precise, so that you can take the power back into your own hands when it comes to your iPhone's battery life, and more importantly, doing so without ruining the peak performance of your iPhone. And I will be dropping some fundamental battery bombshell facts that maybe no one's told you about. Tip number 1, go to settings, go to battery, and then on this graph, filter to 10 days. Now look at the list of the apps here and pay attention to the ones that are using the most battery life. If anything looks unusual, consider uninstalling or revoking some of the app permissions. To control how much access an app has to your battery source, go to settings, scroll all the way down to where you see your apps. Find the offending app, tap on that, and here you can manually take back the power. And if location and background refresh are enabled, these things can impact your battery power, so consider switching these off. Tip number 2, go to settings, privacy and location services. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and here it's important to understand what these little arrows mean. A hollow purple arrow indicates that an app can access your location under certain conditions. A solid purple arrow indicates that the app has very recently pinpointed your location, and the grey arrow means you've been tracked in the last 24 hours. And just like tip 1, if there's anything here that looks out of the ordinary, click on that offending app and restrict what that app can do. And a little side note, switching off precise location can also help to save more power. And if there's any apps here that you're unsure about, go through them and set them all to ask for permission. This way you can manually decide each time the app asks to track you. And this is a good way to learn which apps are using GPS and why. Tip number 3, go to settings, privacy, location services, and then from the list, choose system services. And just like before, we're looking for anything that seems suspicious or anything that's obviously not important. For example, in my case, I have no HomeKit equipment and I don't use the HomeKit app. So it really doesn't need to be on. So if you have any apps like this, make sure you go through and switch those off. Tip number 4. Now on the same page, settings, privacy and system services, scroll all the way down to the bottom and consider switching off all of the switches in the phone improvement section. These features are Apple's way of getting diagnostic data from your iPhone so that they can use this intel collected from your phone to improve the next iOS update or the next iPhone. But here's the thing though, with an estimated 1 billion iPhone users globally, I've got a feeling about this. You switching off this feature is not going to ruin the next iOS or next iPhone launch. However, it will help you save battery. Less data being sent equals less power consumption. Tip number 5, go to settings, privacy and tracking. So this is quite similar to what we've already looked at, but this is another way to access it and really get a clear view as to what's tracking you. So I recommend switching everything off that's not important. Just do it. They can still ask to track you, so you'll still be prompted to give your location if it's necessary, but try not to give auto access to anything unless it's very important. For example, the Maps app. Tip number 6. So charging a lithium battery continuously once it reaches 100% is not good. Well, it is good if you want to degrade a battery's capacity very quickly. So let's make sure your phone can help you avoid that. Go to settings, battery health, and then switch on optimized charging. This is perfect for you if you're the type of person who charges your phone overnight, because what the iPhone will do is learn your charging patterns and only charge to 80% and stop and finish the last 20% right before you normally start using your phone in the morning. And charging in this way helps to protect the battery and makes it live longer. So here's a battery bombshell fact for you. If you're the type of person who rocks a backpack on the back of your iPhone, or any kind of oversized chunky case for that matter, you might not realize it, but you're restricting the heat from escaping your device. And this is another good way to ruin battery life fast. The heat generated when charging needs to escape quickly. If it can't, you essentially are going to fry your battery and your long-term battery life will be affected. And you might be thinking this sounds like nonsense, but what if I told you that this tip came straight from Apple's official website? So trust me, beware of the bulky case. And if you must insist on using a massive case, take it off when charging. Tip number 7. So most modern day iPhones have a beautiful bright screen with the brightest light, the peak luminance, coming from the white on the display. So more white light, the more power used. So what we can do to save some power is actually turn down the white light just a bit without affecting the other colors. And doing this can save you power. So go to settings, accessibility, display and text size. And here we want to reduce the white point. And you can choose whatever white point you like. The lower you go, the more battery you'll save, but it will affect how your picture looks when it comes to peak luminance. And if you want to go one step further with this, go to settings, display and brightness, and turn on automatic dark mode. So this will turn most of the white on the usual screen black. And this can save a little bit of power. And you can even go one step further than this by setting dark mode on permanently. And that's actually what I do because I think it looks better, but it's entirely up to you. So the theory behind this one is less bright white light equals less power consumption. So this one is one of those ones that everybody knows they should do, but don't. And I think the main reason for this is FOMO, the fear of missing out. But trust me, if you do this the right way, you won't miss anything important. So let's do it once and let's do it right. Go to settings, go to notifications. So not only are notifications distracting, they can also be a major battery drain. And just like tip 1 and 2, we need to identify anything suspicious or unnecessary and put a stop to it. So go through this list of apps, turn off notifications from anything not important. Start with games and shopping apps and work your way through. And stop worrying about missing out when it comes to these kind of apps. Because trust me, next time you open them, you will be bombarded with ads and offers and all this kind of stuff. You won't be missing out, trust me. Tip number 9. So you've just gone through your list of apps and you've probably realized you got a lot of apps on your phone, right? And some of which I'm assuming you use daily, but did you know the ones you don't use daily are siphoning off power in the background by refreshing frequently with new information and updates without you knowing? And to this, I say no. Only you and I should decide when lesser used apps should refresh. So here's how you can take the control back into your own hands. Go to settings, go to general, go to background app refresh. And here we want to select Wi-Fi only. You do have the option for Wi-Fi and mobile data, or you could turn it off entirely. But I don't recommend you do that because that could stifle your phone's performance. And that's what we're trying to avoid. I recommend the Wi-Fi only setting for a couple of reasons. One is going to save any mobile data you might be paying for. But two is because some data bands like 5G use more of your phone's power than Wi-Fi. Now go through this list below and turn off the least important apps. And don't worry, once you load them up again, they will refresh in the background. But the difference is you're in control. So just like before, do it once, do it right, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Those sneaky apps in the background won't be drawing any more power. Tip number 10. Now, apart from satellites tracking and notifications and apps running in the background, there is another source of power drain. It is emails. Now, this one's going to be different for everyone, but it's good to know. Go to settings, go to mail, then go to accounts, and here we're looking at the fetch new data setting. So here you can decide which mail apps and even which folders within those mail apps can send you push notifications. So if you're regularly getting important emails, leave push notifications on for those accounts. And I do recommend choosing a specific folder as well, because you don't want notifications for all the spam stuff coming through. And if you have a second and third email address that's less important, which maybe you just use for shopping and browsing and stuff like this, consider turning off push notifications entirely. And doing this not only can stop you from getting distracted and buying a bunch of stuff that you probably didn't need, but it'll also help you save power. Tip number 11. So Bluetooth has improved a lot over the years, and it is a powerful tool, but it is also a power drain if it's constantly being utilized by apps unnecessarily. And once again, you need to do a little detective work here. Go to settings, privacy and Bluetooth. Here are all the apps that can use Bluetooth on your device. Naturally, headphone apps, speaker apps need Bluetooth to access those devices, but there are some apps that are literally using the Bluetooth scanning on your device to collect data with no apparent benefit to yourself. And again, I say no. You need to take the power back, metaphorically and actually. Go through this list and untick anything that really doesn't require Bluetooth to function. For example, here, BT Sports. There is no reason for that to need Bluetooth on my device. Tip number 12. So if you live in an area with 5G coverage While it's great to have those amazing speeds, it is, however, a kind of gift and a curse because decoding 5G signals is a power-hungry task for your phone's modem, and it will drain your battery life unknowingly if you let it. So let's take a look at this. Go to settings, mobile data, which is sometimes called cellular in different regions, and scroll all the way to the bottom where it says Wi-Fi assist, iCloud drive and iCloud backup. You should think about switching these off because your phone can switch to mobile data signals even when you're on Wi-Fi if your mobile data speeds are more stable than your Wi-Fi connection. And this is great in some circumstances, but as I mentioned before, Wi-Fi signal processing is much more power efficient on your device than 5G, so consider switching these all off. Side note though, if your Wi-Fi is incredibly slow, then it actually might benefit you to leave this one on. Just be aware of your data usage and the fact that your battery could drain faster. So Apple's screen refresh rate doubled in 2021. The new iPhone Pro displays went from refreshing 60 times a second to now 120 times per second. And this will give you that silky smooth feeling when it comes to animations, transitions, and swiping and scrolling, but at a cost. You guessed it, battery life. So unlike other videos you might have seen like this, I'm not going to tell you to switch these off. No, because that will make your shiny new iPhone feel slower than it should be. I mean, you've paid the cost to have the boss phone with the premium features, right? So instead of slowing down your device, I want to give you some advice, a ninja tip in a way, that not many people know about. Within your app library, search for the app called Shortcuts. This is an official Apple iOS app, so don't worry about it, it is trustworthy. Now here, click Create Automation, scroll to where it says Battery Level, and now choose where it says Falls Below and use the slider here to adjust it to 35%. And you can come back to this later on and adjust this a bit more if you want to. On the next page, now click Add Action and now type in Reduce Motion and select it. And now when your iPhone has used 2/3 of its power reserves, your first contingency action comes into play. It will reduce the animations and motion effects, and this will extend your battery life when you need it the most. Now let's put a second failsafe in play, and this one will not only drop your frames down to 60 Hz like the old iPhones, but it will also take a bunch of extra power saving measures. So again, let's go back to Apple's Shortcut app. Here we're going to create another automation, and again we're going to choose battery level, except this time we're going to set it to 20%. Now on this page, search for low power mode, hit next, and now when your phone reaches its last legs at 20%, the low power mode will kick in, and Apple's low power mode is rumored to almost double what's left of your battery when you switch it on. And Apple themselves even say on their website that you should turn this on when your phone gets below 20%. And now, because you've made these adjustments ahead of time, this will happen automatically, and you now have the power. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. There are plenty more tips and tricks that I want to share with you guys, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on for those next videos. Leave me a comment if you got any kind of value out of this one, and if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I'll see you in the next one, so don't be late.
The rest is quite simple, really.